Dynamic blessings to all of you today, as this is Friday, the 24th. And, no, it's the 23rd, actually. And this is my 5th IG Live for the week. Every day I promised you I would bring you an activist, a creator, an artist, a healer, to talk about embracing our sacred yes. And we're to continue with that. And also a joyful reminder that if you did not yet tap into the now that took place on my birthday, July 21st, you still have an opportunity to do that at no cost. So you just come and register and take full advantage of the magnificent presentations, the conversations, and all that good stuff. Here we have Lauren London with me this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whatever time zone you're in.
I'm in a late afternoon.
Are you back in Los Angeles?
Yeah, I'm back.
Very good, because you've been a world traveler for a moment.
You know, the world is ours. We're supposed to see it, right? Can you hear me, Rev?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay.
I was listening to my director at the same time.
Okay.
But before we get started, I want to let people know a little bit about who you are.
Okay.
You know, we have, I mean, and a lot of people know who you are because obviously you're a native of Los Angeles. Your career kind of like took off after starring in the film ATL. Since then, you've appeared in Without Remorse, you know, with Brother Michael there. This Christmas, Next Day Air, Tyler Perry's Medea, Big Happy Family, among others. Guest appearances include Entourage, 90210, Single Ladies in the Game. And from what I understand, you're currently working on a production on the Netflix miniseries, True Story.
Yeah.
Alongside Kevin Hart, Wesley Snipes, and I know you're developing a whole bunch of projects as director and producer. So your whole creative frequency has emerged in a very powerful way. And so somewhere along the line, for the next few minutes, we want to talk about embracing the sacred yes. And somewhere within, and everybody has their own definition of what it means to say yes. Everyone has their own definition and perspective on what it means to rise up out of the fears and the doubts and the worries and to step into the next level of greatness, which you have done and which you are doing. And, we cannot overlook the fact that your beloved Nipsey Hussle was taken off the planet. And you're raising children, you're a mother, and you had to embrace the sorrow of that tragedy and continue to say yes as mom and stewards of your family and your career unfolding. So I know it's been a minute, and obviously we had an opportunity to work together when that occurred. So with everything that's going on in your life, how would you define your yes factor?
I think every day you make that choice. For me, it's like an everyday intention to say yes, because so much of my life in the past 2 years has really just been about surviving, especially after something so soul crushing and traumatic. And, it really made me question everything I thought I knew.
Yes.
And so I was just in the mode of surviving, and I wanted to not just survive anymore. I wanted to thrive.
Absolutely.
And so I made the decision that every day I would just take the smallest steps, even baby steps, of just today, I'm going to say yes to life. I'm going to be open to whatever life has to give me at any moment. And I think I am intentional with saying yes every day.
Yes.
Because I know what it's like to say no.
Yeah. That's stagnation.
Yes.
And so tell everyone, who Nipsey Hussle was to you.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
The world has a big view of him as this prolific musical artist, hustler, seeking to change not only the area of Crenshaw, but just, to embrace the whole world. What did he mean to you and to the world?
Well, to me, he was one of my greatest teachers. And he was um, he was safe. He was like my safe space.
Mm.
And he encouraged me. He saw things in me that I was afraid to see. And with him not being physically here, it pushes me to do all the things he told me to do, to pursue all the things he told me I had inside of me. I want to do them now when I used to be too afraid to do them.
So he's like motivating you from the other side.
For sure. A lot of my, yeah, yes, 1,000%. A lot of my inspiration comes from him.
Mm-hmm. So when you look over the arc of your career, I mean, everybody knows you from ATL. I mean, you just popped on the screen, and and then you've done these other programs, other projects as well. What would you say you had to overcome within yourself to like step into the next iteration of Lauren?
Self-doubt, not feeling worthy or not feeling good enough to have, the good parts of life. I think even in childhood, it was very rough for me. And I was so used to struggling, and I was so used to, bad things happening, that I kind of got in that mind frame that things were just always going to be hard and bad. And I think it had a lot, it really, it really, it really messed up my self-worth. I didn't think I was worthy of the goodness of life. And I know going to Agape at a young age, I've been going to Agape since I was 10.
Wow.
Listening to you, investing in myself, reading a lot, praying a lot, creating a very intimate relationship with God helped me reaffirm who I am in God. Because I was looking outside of myself for my self-worth and realizing that, all that is internal, and that God has placed me on earth for a reason, big or small, in whoever's eyes, but it's a purpose and a reason. And that gives me self-worth, that I mean something to God.
Yes, that's powerful. That's powerful. And the reason I appreciate what you're saying, because oftentimes people look at people such as yourself, they see a modicum of success, and they think that you're different. You think that you're special than other people, but they don't understand that you had demons too. Self-doubt, lack of self-worth, and then you tack on that. I mean, your childhood being kind of sketchy in certain areas of your life, and then you tack on that your beloved gets killed, and you're left to raise your children, by yourself. And I just wanted people to kind of get an understanding that you walk through life just like everyone else. There's tragedies, there's things that occurred in childhood, you still have to keep going. So it wasn't like people are specially anointed to be special. You have to work at this.
Yeah, I work on it every day. And every day, of course, I still like, how do I do this? You know what I mean? What am I to do? How am I to do it? And instead of looking outside of myself, I just go within. And I think I'm 36 years old now. That's what I've learned on this healing journey, is to go within and to create, or to invest in my relationship with God.
I love that. Invest in my relationship with God, because you know what? The dividends are remarkable, when you invest in your relationship with God. And so you're still a baby. You're 36.
Am I a baby?
You're a baby. I mean, you raised.
I've lived through a lot of stuff.
I know you have a lot of experience.
Yeah.
In 36 years. I mean,
yes.
And you have 2 children.
Yes. And one is about to be in the 6th grade. So
and one's about to be in the 6th grade. Mm-hmm. But so 3 and 6 is 9. So you're at the end of a cycle in your life, and you're about you got to begin another cycle in your life. So 2 things I want to say. One, you don't have to ever mention your age again to anyone, because you're a timeless being. And, and people over the years have asked me my age, and I say, listen, I'm not interested in age, and age isn't interested in me. And I can remember Satchel Paige, because he pitched in the major leagues for many years, well past what some people would say is an individual's prime. And they would say to him, you know, how old are you? And he would say, how old would you be if you didn't know how old you was? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Pick that age and stay with it, because the mind will wrap itself around that. And then the other part is, you know, you're at the end of a cycle. So I want to ask you two questions. You know, one is, what would you say now to the younger Lauren? You know, the Lauren that, you know, self-doubting, lack of self-esteem, you know, carrying the burden of events that occurred in your childhood. If you could go back and talk to her, what would you say to her now?
Well, first, I would tell her that her circumstances and conditions of what are around her is not her. It's not a reflection of her, and it's not her. I
No.
think I took so much of the chaos around me and took it as if like I deserved it, and I made it my fault. I internalized it. I would tell her that it's not her fault, and that I think I would just encourage my younger self and remind her of how special she is to God, and how big or small, however she wanted to show up on earth, that she's just meant to be here.
Mm-hmm. No, that's powerful. I think it's really important that people do know that whatever circumstances they're in or situations, to come to an understanding that it's not somebody's fault. Ignorance is always to blame. It's always, we don't personalize things. And so you would go back and you would tell young Lauren, it's not your fault. This circumstance doesn't define you.
Yes,
You're bigger than the circumstance.
absolutely. That's exactly what you said, it much better than me. But no, I would, yeah, because I think as children, as young adults, you internalize all the events and all the, you know, what the adults are doing around you, and that hurt you take it as like, what did I do? Is this happening because I'm not, you know? So I think, yeah, I'm in alignment with what you said.
Yeah. And well, I'm just reflecting back what you said.
What you said is much better than me.
Young, ageless, timeless Lauren.
I receive.
Now, as I said, you're at the end of a cycle now. You know, 30 and 6. That's a 9, which is a cycle of completion and the beginning of a new cycle. What would you say you're heading into right now? What does your spirit say that you're stepping into as the next vision and version of Lauren?
I think I'm meeting myself really deeply. Like I used to think I had this like super clear relationship with the divine, but it wasn't until recently, until everything I went through and all my thoughts had to kind of unfold in a way. I think I'm stepping into a space of like real clarity. Like I really want to know God for real. You know, I don't want it to be a theory anymore. I want it to be like,
yeah.
And I want to carry that. You know, I would like to carry that. I would like to be of service in this phase of my life. I think, you know, in my previous years, I've been very into my ego, and I would like to be of service in this phase of my life.
Yeah, that's beautiful, because the ego, that's a slippery slope for a lot of artists and a lot of creators and a lot of people that are in front of the crowd. Their ego can get the best of them, and they actually can put on a superiority airs, think they're better than other people. You know, it's a tough thing to navigate.
Yeah.
So for you to be able to have a moment of reflection and say, yeah, in my younger days, you know, the ego would get in there, but now I want to be in service to God. I mean, I think that's big.
I really do. And I want to be intentional. Like, I want to be clear on what I'm doing, and I want to be very present where I'm at.
Yeah. And I really appreciate a lot of the young artists that are coming up now. They don't have any hesitation in using the G word. They don't have, they don't have any hesitation in saying, you know, I'm going to be connected with God. And everything that I do, I want it to be a reflection of God. Whereas in the past, that was kind of like, for some people, a sign of weakness, you know. And please, I want people to understand that we're talking about the presence of God. We're not talking about religion.
Yeah.
We're talking about religiosity. We're not talking about old school religion where there's a God that's going to condemn you to hell and call you a poor sinner. And, you know, we're not into that. We're talking about the real God, the presence that's never
All
an
love.
absent,
Yeah.
presence of love and of beauty and intelligence. And so I love it when I see you and other artists. You know, I had my boy Amarian, you know, on the summit recently, and he has no hesitation either about, you know, he's here for the presence of God now at this time of his life. And there's a lot of artists that are coming forward that don't want to just be like a showpiece. They want to show up for God as well as do their art, their singing, their dancing, their acting, their whatever their creative urge is. So it gives me more than hope when people are stepping up like you and saying, you know what, I'm here for God, period.
All the way, because I know what it feels like when you have a plan in your mind for life and something else happens and all you have is God.
Yeah, because and because of what you have grown through, not your childhood, plus the sudden death of your beloved. You know, there's a statement that I like to use, is that oftentimes religious people are trying not to go to hell, but spiritual people have already been there. You know, they've gone through so much that now they are aware what heaven is. It's not just a place that you go to when you die.
Yeah.
Heaven is a state of consciousness.
Yeah.
You know, and so you have a lot of heavenly moments, even though you've been through hell, because of your love of God.
Yeah, no, I've been through hell and back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know the real God, not the God just in the book.
And I used to, you know, God used, if I'm honest, God it used to all be very like a theory for me until I had to really call on the divine, like, hold up, I'm losing my grip here. Help me.
Yeah. So God became not God. Now God for you is not just 911. God is also 411.
It's, and I mean, literally, I'm wake. I have a morning routine, and it used to just be an hour, and I've had to, you know, expand that hour to 2 because I need more time with just myself and God before I start the day, because it's pure medicine for me.
Talk about that a little bit. Talk about your spiritual practice. I think it's very important.
So I'm also a big, I read all kind of books. And so I'm reading Love Without Conditions right now. So I try to read at night for at least 20 minutes, but in the morning I wake up before the sun. I make myself some tea. That's my son playing a video game. Sorry. I make myself some tea, and I go into my little sacred space. I light my incense. I light a candle that represents light. And I meditate for 10 minutes because I'm a new meditator. So 10 minutes is where I'm at with it now. I also, I free write for 30 minutes to an hour. I just write out everything I feel. There's no structure to it. It's just whatever.
No filter either.
Yeah. And I just write it. And then I read a prayer. I have a prayer book that has daily prayers, and so I read a passage from that. I sit in silence. I come to myself. I set an intention for the day, and then that by that time it's 7. The kids are up, and I'm present.
Right. So this is really beautiful because oftentimes I say that people aren't just suffering from an attention deficit disorder. They're suffering from an intention deficit disorder. They just go out into their day and they end up reacting to circumstances.
Yeah.
But they've had no intention for the day at all. So they have no rudder. They have no vision and they have no rudder.
And I know, because I used to live life like that for years, for 35 years, 34 years, that was how I lived life. And it wasn't until I started the practice that I was like, oh my God, I had so much at hand that I could have applied that I just didn't know.
Right. But you do now.
I do now. That's why I talk about it a lot, so that hopefully it can help someone.
Right. So I know that you've attended Agape. You and I have worked together. You work with my sister Queen Afua. You know,
Yes.
we had a good conversation recently and talked about you and just really embracing your walk. And so you keep good people around you as well. And I think that's another good quality that you have. You surround yourself with good people.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's a realization I just, I was thinking, I was in meditation the other day, and I was thinking that people are either medicine or poison.
Oh, speak on that.
And so, and sometimes without any intention to be poison, but when you're around certain people and all they do is gossip or entertain themselves with, a lower vibration and, talking about people or, negative comments and stuff like that, that penetrates.
Yeah.
Oh, and then and so that's poison, because then you carry that. It doesn't feel good ever after long. And then, or if you're around someone that just talks about things that are uplifting, fulfilling, or just sitting in silence with someone that has really good energy, that's medicine, whether you are aware of it or not. It brings you to like a peaceful state. And so we just have to be really cautious and aware of like, and some of us can be poison sometimes to others, so that we need to be aware of how we show up in others' lives as well.
Absolutely. There's a statement, people who talk about other people, that's mediocrity. People who talk about events, that's average. And people who talk about vision and possibility, that's excellence.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we want to stay away from the vibration of haters and gossipers and people who put people down, because those individuals, they don't understand that they're actually using their word to experience the very thing that they're talking about. Because whatever comes out of your mouth is a blessing or a curse, but ultimately you experience that blessing or that curse.
For sure. You said something that it was years ago, early on in my spiritual ascension, when I was much younger. You said, what you give, you keep.
Yes.
And I know this because I'm not perfect. And there's been so many times in my life that I've been caught in low vibrational conversation. And the next day I feel it. Then I'm
Right.
on some type of, you know what I mean? Then people
Right.
are talking about me and I know it doesn't feel good. So it's just like, what you get out, you keep. And
Right.
so you said it years ago, and it's something that I've kept with me throughout my life.
Yeah, well, that's a law. You get to keep what you give away. So therefore you want to give away love and peace and harmony, generosity, encouragement, kindness, compassion, patience, forgiveness. You want that to flow through you, because eventually you're going to get the blessing of what you're giving. And people actually think that if they're putting somebody down or talking about somebody, they're going to get away with something. But the universe is lawful.
Yeah.
It's a law. You're not gonna sneak it out of your mouth because as we know now, the cells of your body are listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
Atoms in your body, your organs are listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
Your body chemistry is listening to you. So whatever's coming out, you're getting a dose of it. So why not treat yourself good by treating others good, even in your mind?
See, medicine or poison. You choose,
Medicine,
right?
medicine,
I
poison.
would just like to be medicine. I'm sure, in my life, I'm sure I've been poisoned. Moving forward, I would like to just stay on my medicine tip.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know what? I want to. I know you got things to do. I don't want to keep you all day, but but I could. And I'm sure we're going to have further conversations down the line.
For
Well,
sure.
as we leave, what do you want people to know going forward? Are there any projects, anything you want people to know that you're about, that they can participate in, or?
Yeah, I actually just dropped a collaboration on a sunglass collection with Diff Eyewear, and it's a charitable sunglass collection. So
What does that mean? What does that mean? Charitable
so
sunglasses.
Diff is company that puts to the side some of the proceeds that they like, the money that they get from each purchase, and they give it to a charity.
Okay.
And so it was real intentional to work with them, because I really like the idea of giving back in some way, in all ways, actually. And so I just dropped that collection yesterday, and
Ah,
I'm really excited about it because I love sunglasses and I would wear them 24/7 if I could. But they were my design, and it was the first time that I designed sunglasses, and I just designed what I want to wear, and so I was real like genuine with it and kept it true.
so
So
where did they go to find this on your Instagram or where?
yeah, the link is in my bio, and but diffeyewear.com. And they're, you know, we got good news yesterday that a lot of them were sold out.
Oh, very good. Look at you.
Yeah, I mean, it really, my,
You're becoming a hustler.
well, I learned from the best.
Right.
But you know, honestly, I think I'm just real grateful that I'm able to create anything that anyone would respond to. You know what I mean? Like, I'm
Right.
just a girl from LA at the end of the day. And so the fact that people think that what I think is cool, I'm like, that's tight. So
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
just humbled.
Well, thank you so much for stopping through and being a part of this week-long, inviting people to embrace their sacred yes,
Yeah.
which you've done in the midst of calamity and in the midst of joy. And oftentimes people don't see behind the scenes that you're a mother, you're raising kids, and you're embracing the next stage of your own evolution. It's not always easy, but as you've said, you're leaning on the presence of God, the real God presence, and knowing that you're actually here as a representative of the presence.
Yeah, and that's my
Yeah.
intention for even this live. I'm like, you know, I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be how I can just represent God and be a vessel. And before I go, I would like to say this, like a lot of my healing journey is inspired by my kids. I want them to see that when things happen in life that are traumatic and you know you don't know if you'll be able to survive it, you will, and this is how. And that's why I think, you know, just my kids see me in meditation. I don't hide any of it from them.
Right.
So hopefully it's a roadmap for them one day when life, you know, throws them a curveball or something that they feel they won't be able to survive. That they're
Right.
like, you know, mom did this. She was, you know.
Right. Because your kids grow to the point where they won't do what you say, but they'll do what you do. That's the real parenting,
Mm-hmm.
being the example, because they're not gonna listen to you. At a certain point, they rebel, but they eventually come back to what you do. I
Mm-hmm.
watch that with my own kids in terms of their eating habits, in terms of their meditation, in terms of being a part of agape, in terms of their being a part of a higher conversation. They're becoming me, but not me. They're becoming them,
Yeah.
but with
I'm
spiritual
becoming my
practice.
mom. I write everything down. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
God.
Well, any last words?
Thank you for inviting me to do this and giving me this opportunity. You have been one of my master teachers, and I sincerely, soulfully thank you.
Well, God bless you, Lauren. It's been my joy, and we've had all the demographics and ages this week, and you're a youngster, so thank you, thank you for stepping up to the plate, and thank you for giving us your time.
Oh,
As I
thank
say to
you.
all my guests, one of the most valuable things that we have in life these days is time. you know,
Mhm.
and so when you can give your time to something like this, I just appreciate it, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Yes, I love you so much, Rev. Thank
I
you.
love you.
Bye,
Right day.
everybody. Bye.
Give your boys my hug, big hug from me,
I
okay?
will. I'm like, you can't hear them. They're like going crazy
I
in
hear
the
them.
room.
I hear them.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. So everyone, thank you for tuning in today. That was Lauren London. You may have known her, recently with Michael B. Jordan and that movie that's on Netflix, and a number of things. But more importantly, she's a woman of God, uh, a mother, and has gone through some dark moments in her life. But with the leaning on the presence until it becomes more real than anything, which is what I teach all the time. You want to lean, you want to practice until the presence becomes more real than the circumstance, becomes more real than the situation, becomes more real than what people might be saying about you. And then you rise and you shine. So we'll see you perhaps tonight, since it's Friday, on the community gathering on Office Facebook Live at 5:30 p.m. Perhaps we'll see you on Sunday. 3 services. 6:45 a.m. is the Way of Meditation service. 8:30 is a meditation service followed by the 9 a.m. worship service, or the 11 a.m. meditation service followed by the 11:30 worship service. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this, for those of you who came on late, it's not too late for you to register for the Into the Now Summit that took place on July 21st, which is my actual birthday. It's free. It's free for the next few days. And so register, watch the summit, and then you'll have an opportunity to participate in getting the entire summit, plus the first 3-day summit we did, and a whole lot of bonus materials for a very reasonable price that will support a scholarship fund for our university and the translation fund so that we can turn these teachings into other languages. You can circulate and watch how it benefits others. So peace and radical blessings to all of you. I'll see you Sunday morning. Have a bright day. Sometimes smile and be grateful even when you don't feel like it, and the universe will give you something to be grateful for. Okie dokie.